Hi everyone, my name is Melanie Grant and this is C&M Glass. Welcome back for our Welcome to 2021 Spring Term of 2020 Introduction to Medical Coding with a focus on PCS coding. Ooh, I don't like that pen. There we go. ICD-10 PCS. This is just a quick introduction video for our class where we're going to go over some of our new class structure for 2021 for this term, and as usual, our differences in assignments and expectations throughout the class and contact hours where you can reach me. A few things have changed in this class, so if you have any questions about this particular class, please feel free to email me or text me if it's a little different from what you've had in the past. Now, one of the things I highly recommend is that you pay attention to due dates and assignments because as you go through each week, it's very important that you are aware of what to put up next and where you're at. This class is going to be strictly from the textbook and coding book, so there's not an online feature, but there will be a lot of online materials that I provide to you each week, including lecture videos. That being said, some of your lecture videos will be based off of a topic which may reference an older book or an older version of your textbook. In those instances, pay attention for any notes and comments that I provide to you about that week's lecture video because I'll let you know if there's any changes in that particular coding system that go along with the video you're watching. However, you may see a combination of some newer videos like this one here, as well as some of the videos from last year's text. So, make sure you look at those with a keen eye and that you're prepared as we go into our one of our biggest chapters of coding, which is our procedural coding systems for PCS. So, first things first, coding books. So, if you're like me, you've been pulling your hair out waiting for the bookstore to bring your books in. Unless you've gotten them from somewhere else, then yay, I'm very happy for you. Unfortunately, there's a slight delay on the ICD-10 PCS codebook as well as the ICD-10 PCS textbook, which are both required for this course. I'm going to list these here so you can reference them. Now, with the ICD-10 PCS and Applied Approach 2020, this is an AHEMA book, and it's very important that you make sure you have this book and the current edition for the 2020 year. Once those are in or once they're available to you, I will make an announcement. But for our first week, we're going to look at some materials that don't require us to be looking at our textbook just yet. So never worry, we will be coming into it as soon as it becomes available. Our code books for this term, we're going to be looking only at one, which is the ICD-10 PCS, published by the AAPC, Expert Edition 2020 year. This one is also slightly delayed and hopefully will be in before the end of the week. There's also an option if you'd rather purchase the bundle that's titled CIC Exam Book Bundle. This includes both the ICD-10 CM and the ICD-10 PCS, same edition, but you get an additional current coding book with that for only $45 more. So I wanted to mention that because it's a little bit of a benefit for those of you that either have not taken the class for 2011 yet and plan to take it this fall when it's offered again, or for those of you that are planning on taking a certification exam this year and need current books for a coding exam. With the RHIT, you won't need the books, so if you have questions about that and you want to ask me, feel free to send me an email, which I have up here as mgrant13@cnm.edu. Let me know what your questions are, and I'm happy to go over it and help you make the best decision for you. It is important, though, that you have two books for this class. The first one is our textbook, which is the Applied Approach, and for simple ease, I'm going to always refer to it as the Applied Approach. And you have your coding book, which is your ICD-10 PCS, which also for simple ease, I will refer to as PCS. That being said, all of our information and our class assignments will typically come out of this book, and each week I will be reviewing information that's covered during the chapters that we're reviewing that week. So, for assignments and homework information, one of the new things I'm doing this week is to list your assignments. In some cases, will be listed in the system as a as if it was a test for a fill in the blank. The purpose for this is to give you guys immediate feedback on the correct answers with the assignments that you have in your book so that you can review correct answers before you take a module quiz or exam. Both of these will be due on Monday, but I highly recommend taking the assignment and reviewing over the correct answers before you move on to an exam that week. Much like in other coding classes, you will have a coding project by the end of the term, as well as a final that is collective and reviews the entire course. Your coding project will be provided to you in week 10, and it's highly recommended that you give yourself approximately 15 to 20 hours between week 10 and week 14 to complete that. It's about 5 hours a week. Some students say that it's less than that. Some students have reported the higher end. So I try to make sure that everybody's prepared and aware of that ahead of time. Last but not least, you also have your journals, which you'll want to be tracking any information that seems interesting, any new resources, something that's tricky to you, or items that you can study later on. Modules 1 through 13 will close at the end of week 13, so it's important that you keep track of any resources you might need come the end of the term. You'll also be doing a coding review, both in the beginning and end of the class, to go over things like where you're at, how the coding looks to you, areas that may be difficult, and various other concerns or questions. Now, I do provide a coding clinic this term, which I've done in previous terms, so if you've had them before, you should be familiar, every Tuesday starting in week 3. Coding clinics are open sessions, and they're available from 5:30 to 7 in the JS building, room 209 at the main campus. Now, when I say open session, that means that you're free to come in at any point during those hours that is available to you, and it's not a requirement that you stay, only that it's supposed to be a benefit to you. So use it for your own benefits to ask questions about homework or go over exam questions, go over specific issues that you have difficulty maybe in looking at coding, terminology, abstracting, or anything absolutely whatsoever to do with HIT and coding review. These are student-based and student-driven. So that means that the questions you bring are what we review. I try to give everybody a fair and equal opportunity to ask questions, and there may be students from other coding classes there as well. So always keep that in mind as you come in, that there may be additional types of coding we review. If you're unable to make a coding clinic on a Tuesday night, or if you're out of town, I also offer coding reviews both in person and over the phone. I typically schedule those during my office hours, which this term are Mondays and Tuesdays from 3:30 to 5:30 in the JS building on the 4th floor, or Wednesdays from 10:30 to 11:30 in the MJG building. That's the main building at the west side. If you'd like to schedule during any of these hours, or if you're unavailable and you'd like something outside of those, send me an email and I'd be happy to set something up with you. Other than that, most of this should be pretty familiar to you. The class structure's changed a little bit from other coding classes, but I have faith that this is going to be a very smooth and fun class. So I'm looking forward to doing some of my favorite coding with you in PCS and looking at tables and different types of systems. Until our next video, have a great day.